It really is a hot seat. Okay. I have a specific question, and some of it's been answered. Some of it hasn't. My mother married a man when I was 3, who I love, and who raised me. He is
who was there as you raised yourself?
Who is in the way as I was raising myself a lot of the time, which is kind of the issue. So when he was high, he was high. When he was low, he's low. He's an alcoholic. He's got some issues, and he was pretty emotionally abusive. As I grew up, I distanced myself from him physically. We still have a relationship. He still lives with my mother, but I have a time limit with him. I have 2 children now, and their lives are dramatically different from mine in that respect. And I did that very deliberately for them. Recently, he was really emotionally hard on me again. And I made a conscious choice to end that and to not allow him near me. And he's having a hard time accepting that. I am also having a hard time really sitting in with that because
it's not who she is.
No. But I want to protect my children. I don't want him to lash. I don't want him to be mean. And he will. My question is, how am I true to me and true to how I feel and not get pulled in? Like when you talked about the empathy, I can't help it. He's my dad.
Well, it feels like you can't, but you can.
Okay.
And so let's just talk about some of this. It feels really nice to have someone holding you as their point of attention when they are in alignment, because their love for you just flows. It feels really good. And it doesn't feel good when someone is, for whatever reason, disconnected themselves from that and they're holding you as their object of attention, because then not only does the love not flow, but sometimes some stuff that doesn't feel good flows.
Yeah.
But those are conditions that you can't control. You can't control whether someone's in alignment or not. You can't control how life touched them. You can't control what's going on in their mind. So if being loved really matters to you, you're kind of in a lot of trouble, because you can't control the love that's flowing from anyone else, but you can control what you're broadcasting. You can control loving, while you can't control being loved. So your discomfort, even though it feels like it's happening because of his abuse, is not because he's flowing discomfort at you. Your discomfort is because in your awareness of it, and then in your reaction to it, you are not being you, and you are not allowing the love that is you to flow. So you're letting him separate you from who you really are and blaming him for it. Yeah. You see, if you've really got that momentum going, then you just see him as he is. Everybody is, to varying degrees, aligned or not aligned, and we don't blame you for not wanting to be around. This man that we were talking about last week resigned from his job because there was stuff there that made it more difficult for him to feel good, and in walking away it was easier for him to let go. We get why you would want to just resign from that relationship, because it's easier for you to let go. But that isn't what you want to teach your kids. Because if you teach your children that you just resign and walk away from things that don't feel good when they don't feel good, now you're teaching them narrower and narrower and narrower experiences. What you want to teach them is unconditional love. What you want to teach them is being tuned in. What you want to teach them is we're all looking for love in all the wrong places, and I was looking for it through this man who I know mostly loved me, but that couldn't maintain connection with source energy. And so when I looked for love there and couldn't find it, instead found something else, then I was sort of lost. Don't let what somebody else is doing be your excuse for letting go of that pure positive energy that is flowing to you and through you all the time, you see.
How do you say that to a 3-year-old? Or a 6-year-old when he's mean?
Mean how?
He will...
3-year-old. Mean to the 3-year-old. What happened?
For example, it was my 6-year-old when she was 3. She said something that wasn't respectful to him, and he came at her and wanted her to apologize. But the way that he came at her made her freeze. I know exactly what it was because I used to do it all the time. And she didn't know what to say, and she's very sensitive and she's very loving, and she's never experienced that type of anger before.
But you see, the solution for her is harder to come about because you'd lived it before, and so there was momentum going.
Yeah.
But the fact that you'd lived it before was part of the momentum that caused the nucleus that made it easier for it to happen too. We're not defending him or justifying him. We just want you to understand the laws of the universe.
Yeah.
So you could say to her something like, you know, when we're not feeling good, we don't behave very well. And what do you call him to her?
Victor.
He wasn't feeling good, and that's what that was about. It wasn't about you. You just explain it. You explain it the way that it is.
Okay.
There was a recent quote that was moving around the internet and being tweeted by a lot of people at the same time. It was one of our quotes that said, there are people who love you, and there are people who hate you, and none of it has anything to do with you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what you want them to understand, is that we've said many times to people who were in the process of divorce, who were worried about the negative influence of their former mate, that your children are really in a very good place because they have an up-close opportunity to see someone in alignment and someone not in alignment, and what alignment produces and what not alignment produces. And so think of the wonderful understanding that you can bring to these little ones so early on. When somebody feels like that, they say things like that, and they feel like that, and their life goes like that.
Yeah.
And when people feel like this, they say things like this, and things go like this, and their life goes like this. Let them understand the law of attraction. Let them understand point of attraction, and let them understand that it's not about them. And then say to them, sometimes I yell at you too, because you do.
Yeah.
Even though I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, it's because sometimes I'm just not in the place where who I really am. And what I really want to say to you is that easy to say. You fight with each other. You fight with each other too. It happens to everybody. Don't turn this into a, we can never go there again, because we can't go there, and then 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 we have to join together in groups where we're all just like this. We can't go over there. We ought to go over here where we're just like this. And then we start fighting in that group, and we have to break into other little groups. And pretty soon, everybody's mad at everybody, and nobody's doing what they came to do. Nobody's being who they came to be, you see. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Victor's a jerk.
Yeah.
But so what? There's jerks everywhere. There's jerks everywhere. He's also someone who loves, and loves hard when he loves.
He does.
So which label are you going to give him? The loving label when he loves, and the jerky label when he's jerky? But do you really want your happiness to depend on what his mood is?
No. And I feel like in so many other respects, I don't. I used to do a lot of empathy stuff, and I've really put that aside. And
do you think he helped you put things in your vortex about how you wanted to live life?
Yeah. He used contrast.
Bless him for it.
I do.
And do you think that you are a better parent because of it?
I am.
Do you think that you've summoned wonderful things because of those experiences?
I have.
And so do you think that there's benefit from what you've come to know from that, since words don't teach?
Yes.
And do you think your understanding of law of attraction helps you to understand that? Yes. Do you think your understanding of when he's behaving like that is his indication that he's not in harmony with who he really is?
Yeah, I think it's an indication he's in
Do you
pain.
think that anyone can be being mean to anybody else without feeling terrible themselves in the moment? If you see someone on the street bleeding, we know you would stop and help them. But when you see someone cursing or being rude or mean, you don't want to stop and help them, even though they could really use some help back into alignment, you see.
Can I help him into alignment?
You can, by you being in alignment and holding him as your object of attention. And this is the first thing that will happen. For a while, maybe even for quite a while, just seek alignment, and don't try to do it while you're focused upon him.
Yeah.
Because hard cases are hard cases. So just find alignment, and find alignment, and find alignment, and find alignment. You've been doing really well at that. Find alignment. Then what will happen in your alignment, from your vortex, because When you thought he didn't love you, you wanted his love. When you thought he was mean, you wanted him to be nice. You have so much in your vortex about him, so much in your vortex about him that has been growing. Your inner being's been standing there, assisting it, calling to it. Talk about a strong point of attraction. Your inner being standing in your vortex, attracting all the cooperative components, focused there. Oh, this is a question for you that you've never thought about and we've never said to you before. Why do you think that your vortex gains momentum?
Because you keep thinking about it.
Predominantly because your inner being is inside your vortex thinking about it. In other words, your inner being is summoning all of that. So all of this love for this man is being summoned and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden you get an idea. Boom, let's go see Victor. Well, when that idea comes, we promise you it will play out in a positive way. But when you say, let's go see Victor.
That's not where I'm at. I'm right there.
See the difference? So can you change Victor? No, and it's not your job or your right to do it. Can you control what state he's in when you rendezvous with him? Yes, if you're in control of your state. But most of you, you're here and 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 here. So who knows what you're going to get when you see Victor, because there's a whole lot active within you on all of that.
Yeah.
But as you clean up what's active within you, he can't show up if you're consistently here. He can show up that way if you're consistently there. That was really helpful, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Enough?
One more thing on him. He wrote me a letter saying he was sorry. It was like the worst sorry letter I've ever read in my life, but it was still sorry. I have not felt clear about writing him back, but I feel obligated to write him back.
Then don't do it. The obligation is down here.
Can I just not write him back?
Well, don't write him back until you're up here and want to write him back, but write him back. But don't write him back until you're up here and want to write him back, but write him back. But don't write him back until you're up here and want to write him back, but write him back. But don't write him back until you're up here and want to write him back. And think about it. This is really an important awareness. Remember back when he thought he was being disrespected by your 6-year-old who was then 3.
Yes.
And was demanding from her an apology.
Yes.
So he demanded of himself an apology. That's pretty big. And
Yes.
you know how she froze up and couldn't give it to him when somebody's demanding it?
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't give it if he was frozen up either. So he wasn't frozen up when he wrote that apology.
No.
And while it wasn't the way you would maybe write an apology, it was big for him. That was big for him. It meant something to him. Sometimes people ask us, Abraham, what do you think about forgiveness? And we say, well, we never forgive. And the reason we never forgive is because we have never condemned to begin with. Mm-hmm. We don't feel regret for something that we said before. But everyone feels regret. All forgiveness is going from this receptive mode where you felt perfectly justified in what you said to this receptive mode where that all feels completely wrong, completely out of bounds of who you really are. Mm-hmm. In other words, haven't you all had an experience where the momentum took it into some place that you didn't want it to go, but there you were, and then you stand there and you're defending that position, and then time passes and you're no longer defending that position, and you have a change of heart about it? Mm-hmm. Your inner being is always helping you with that, you see. So we would write something like, it was surprising and wonderful to get your note. And at first, it caught me off guard. I didn't expect it. And then I realized how much I wanted it, because of all the things, for as long as I can remember, that I've wanted to love you. And you've been a tough case. You've been hard to love. You've been hard to love sometimes, but you've been easy to love sometimes. And I've just decided that I'm going to love you, and I'm glad that you want to love me too. Write that note. It'll help.
That's a much better note than what I had.